Hello and welcome back to Off the Record with
Judah
and Kirk. Today we have another DC Star Trek nerd out for you. This one will actually just be DC because we've got a lot to talk about for this. So we will make it up to you by having the next one as a full Star Trek one too, which I am actually very excited about because obviously, as we all know, I love Star Trek.
It's exciting times.
Yeah. So this one's actually going to be a really fun one. We've put a lot of effort into reading before this one. I know, doing our research before this one.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So
and having notes on research.
Yeah.
Oh,
you should really think that we're so professional and so good at this.
This is professional level stuff here.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And I'm changing things around a little bit with the software that I'm using, so hopefully things will start to look better soon. But I guess we'll see about that. Maybe I'm just a total failure and I'll have to go back to what was working in the past, but we'll see. And you may have seen some of that in the last video too, but just to let you know about that. That is going on right now. But we just read the Absolute Power number 4 and then the start of the Alpha and Omega
All
comic
in special,
ones.
yes.
All in specials, yeah. So we're going to be breaking those down just one at a time. It's an issue, is that what it's called?
It's an issue,
So
yes.
one issue at a time. So the first one is Absolute Power number 4. So kind of starting in medias res here.
Yeah, but for some context for that, specifically for the listener, I would not provide context for Kirk, but
Yeah, he doesn't care about me.
specifically for the listener. So we're diving into the DC universe, starting with the All In Special number 1, and we also read Absolute Power number 4, which Kirk stated before, and we need some context leading into this.
Yeah, because actually, really quickly, the run that you bought, that's what it's called when it's all put together, right?
That would be a volume.
A volume. Okay, in a volume that you bought, it actually included number 4, right?
It did.
So we kind of started out with that. So I've actually just read this one.
It's
totally
the DC recommended way. You could say, I guess.
Yeah. So totally out of context for me, really. But it actually still worked. But continue.
Yeah. So Absolute Power kicks off in the aftermath of many events from the Dawn of DC era. Dawn of DC was the era before this new All In era that started last year. And so All In era had events like Night Terrors, which Absolute Power directly, comes out from. Then Night Terrors was more focused on the mystical and kind of horror-based characters that are in DC. The main event was alright, but the tie-ins, especially the Superman and Green Lantern tie-ins, were really well done with the way that they approached the kind of superheroes and their fears and what they would be afraid of. Those were really well done. They also had the Beast World story, which was kind of promising in an idea sense, but it didn't quite deliver for story-wise. And now for some actual leading into the event of Absolute Power, the origin of Failsafe, which was done by Chip Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez in the start of the Chip Zdarsky Batman run, was absolutely excellent. And Failsafe, again, he plays a big role in Absolute Power. Along with House of Brainiac, that was another event. That was a Superman-centric event from the Joshua Williamson run, which was also really good. And it introduced us to the Brainiac Queen, who, again, plays a big role in Absolute Power. And these are all stories from Dawn of DC. And these are some of the best ones, outside of something I do want to mention, is Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern run, which is really good. And for anyone that is interested in just picking up comics and you want to learn about a character that isn't, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, one of the big three that we kind of always hear about, I would start with Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern run. And you can also read along with us, because Kirk and I are going to be consistently looking at some DC comics, especially looking forward from this all-in issue that we've read and the things that have spun out of that, right? So Failsafe is a pivotal character in Absolute Power. He serves as Amanda Waller's general and the leader of the Amazo army that she builds, right? And Amanda Waller earns the means to carry out her plan by capturing the Brainiac Queen who crash-landed on Earth and using her technology integrated with the Amazo technology and the technology that came from Batman and the creation of Failsafe to build this army and build something to contain all of the hero's superpowers. So she makes these modifications to her Amazo androids, and it does give her the means to carry out her plan, which is to eliminate all superheroes. And in the pivotal event at the beginning, right, all these superheroes are losing their powers. They're being taken out by Amanda Waller's forces, and Green Arrow turns on them. And it gives us some perspective on what Amanda Waller and her problem with superheroes is about. And it's something that Green Arrow kind of agrees with, which is an interesting and kind of human side of the conflict, and that makes Amanda Waller's side less directly just evil, and has more depth and character to it.
So that reminds me a lot of the Green Arrow CW's shows in the Arrowverse, and in that he is this very like dark and brooding character, of course, but he has like all these horrible past experiences behind him that have essentially made him say, yes, sometimes you've got to do things that are bad and dark and evil even to have some good means, right? So, or some good ends rather. So the ends there justify the means for Green Arrow.
Yeah.
But he wrestles with that a little bit. His team actually wrestles with that a little bit, with like following this guy who's like that. But there is a version of Amanda Waller in this too, working for Argus or running Argus, and he, on some occasions, sides with her on some things that you kind of have to like make a decision, like, do you agree with that or not? And Green Arrow is actually often on her side for those. Not always. In fact, towards the end, not at all. Yeah. I don't believe. It's been a long time, but I'm 90% sure that that doesn't last for a long time. But that is a similar kind of storyline there.
Yeah, it's definitely a consistency of character where Green Arrow is kind of... You even see this in the TV show Justice League Unlimited, from the Timverse of DC animated series that started in the 90s, right? Green Arrow is a character that often is keeping other superheroes in check, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Where he's a character whose origin is similar to Iron Man's in a sense, right? Where he was this billionaire playboy who got stranded on an island and had to learn to fend for himself, survive for himself. Mm-hmm. And he comes back with this idea of he wants to help other people survive, right? But that's a good goal, right? It's not a bad goal. Mm-hmm. He wants to, let life flourish, let people survive. But just phrasing it like that means that there's something that's attacking, right? And it's kind of like he is standing up against that. And he could see superheroes as a threat of attack for humanity, right? Like all these heroes creating these villains that put these people in danger. There's reasons for this kind of conflict between characters, and I think it's interesting just kind of the different perspectives of the heroes that you get, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it's there's a consistency of character there with Green Arrow.
So in this one right now, he is kind of shining a light on the more possibly correct side of Amanda Waller.
Her argument. But that doesn't mean she doesn't take it too far. Heck, she creates something called the Bureau of Sovereignty, which is not a governmental organization. That's a world organization that keeps track and control of all military forces in the world, as well as superhero teams. And she also assembles this task force. It's called Task Force 7. It's a group of highly skilled, sometimes villainous operatives, and they play in, if you're reading the larger narrative, there's a whole mini-series that goes along with the main event for them and what they do when they're trying to take out and neutralize the metahumans. I say metahumans, there's both heroes and villains that are trying to avoid her agenda of taking away these powers, and stopping kind of superheroes and supervillains and making the world safe again. Yeah. But she has this whole thing going, and she thinks that she's winning, but there's been things that have been going on in the tie-ins and the backgrounds where the heroes are steadily gaining ground. And, Brainiac Queen takes over Superboy, John Kent, and they have to defeat him, and they defeat the Brainiac Queen. And that's the first blowback. And then you pick up here in issue 4. Mm-hmm. And give us a little summary of that, Kirk.
Yeah, so I haven't read anything from Absolute Power until this. Like, this is just me coming in blind, totally in the middle of things for this All In run, right? That's what it's called. So I probably am missing a lot of context. I mean, you shared a little bit, but obviously not everything. So I might not understand everything perfectly. But
which is all right.
From what I was able to pick up on, Waller thinks she's winning. Mm-hmm. The metas have formulated a plan to attack her and take this power that she has accumulated for herself away. They follow through with that attack. There's heavy resistance, but obviously Hero's going to win in the end. So they are able to breach the defenses, and the Arrow, actually, who they thought had betrayed, right?
The superheroes, yeah.
was actually an inside man, right?
Yeah.
So after fighting for a long time, the metas are able to break the device. It's a device, right?
Yeah, it's a device.
Some device that's holding the powers that Amanda Waller has somehow, again, don't know how any of this happened, has somehow taken from them.
Yeah, you have a little bit of suspension of disbelief.
And so their inside man, Arrow, is able to like help them with that and help them to get their powers back and defeat Waller. After they take down Waller, the Dreamer meta is able to remove the sensitive information from Waller's mind, right? So anything that, like her blackmail, her email passwords to access the blackmail, the whatever else it may be, right? So this is ensuring that she won't be able to hurt them again and like rebuild her power, rebuild this force that she's created against the superheroes, against the metas. So right at the very end of this one, the OG League agrees that they're not going to keep this just like an exclusive club thing. They're not going to be just like 6 normal members of the league or whatever it is. And they're actually going to expand membership to all heroes.
Yeah, and we'll get into that in just a second, but I want to give some thoughts on this issue, right? So, first of all, I'm going to give the credits to the creatives behind this issue, right? So, it was written by Mark Waid. I think the entire main event of Absolute Power was written by Mark Waid. And I'm pretty sure all of the main event issues have art from Dan Mora, who, by the way, Dan Mora absolutely kills it on the art here. I think Kirk can agree that this is probably...
It's really good.
It's probably some of the best art that is happening in comics right now, right?
I don't know much comic art, but I do know that this looks good.
Yeah, and there was just some like cool moments in this story, and in the art, right? Details in the backgrounds, and it was just absolutely exceptional art. Like the story is pretty good, better than most DC events that have happened in the past 10 years, but that's also not saying much. So you can take that as it is. It is a good lead into the next thing. I do want to make some more notes on Absolute Power, though. There's a panel of Aquaman and Black Canary that like looks very impressive in this issue. That really just like caught my imagination, and it was good. You know, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the story is, for being in the middle of the story, right? I think there's a reason that DC in their All In special collection, right? They include this issue before we get into the All In part. It is accessible and easy to follow, right? Mm-hmm. It's you most of the time. I think with last issues of events, it's pretty hard to get into, but with this one, it's pretty good and easy, which I thought definitely enhanced the reading experience. As even for someone that already knew about it, right? I could say it probably enhanced the reading experience for you because you had a little bit of context going into All In. You're like, okay, here's why they're doing this thing, right? And the ending is pretty good. With a Waller being trapped, that was interesting. But the particular part of the ending I liked was just the Trinity sitting down with Green Arrow, and that kind of the dynamic there. Like we talked about it, you know, Green Arrow is kind of a hero that keeps these heroes in check, and the fact that he's the one suggesting that, you know, we should go bigger, we should go bolder, we should be a more grand and dynamic, right?
Yeah.
I like that. What are your thoughts on the issue?
Yeah, so a couple more things on that is that I didn't really know much about it, and you're totally right. Like, I was able to really get into it. Reading the next bits that we'll get into in a minute, the quality, like the experience was made a lot better by my knowing, even though it's just the last little bit, by my knowing these few pages of Absolute Power 4, right? So it was really nice. I like that was included in this for people just like myself who are just going to start getting into this new thing right now. It's actually a lot like how I was introduced to Star Trek. Most of my childhood, I was actually Star Wars. Like, for my birthday, I'd go to the theaters, I'd watch whatever the new Star Wars movie is, because they always came out in December, right? Yeah. Or late November, or something like that. So I could always go for my birthday and watch those. But eventually, a couple of years ago, I'd say probably around 10 years ago, I started to watch Star Trek Voyager on Netflix. And it's not, like, it is its own separate series, right? Kind of like how Alpha and Omega is its own separate story. Yeah. But it's connected to a wider universe of Star Trek or of DC. And so there was some context that I was missing from, say, Star Trek The Next Generation. Even a little bit, I think, from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which was airing the later seasons at the same time that the early seasons of Voyager was airing. So some of the early seasons of that, like it opens up like they're at Deep Space Nine in the first episode, and then they're leaving, but they're departing from Deep Space Nine, right? So there's some things that I'm kind of missing in that regard. And there's obviously even like the original series and the animated series that was happening in like the 60s, and none of that I knew either. But I was able to get into this show right here, Star Trek Voyager, and through kind of being in the middle of the story there, I continued from there. But I also have gone back to watch some other things. Like I've seen The Next Generation, I've seen some of Deep Space Nine. I am currently watching through the original series. So
yeah, no, it's
very similar, and I think I might even start getting more and more into DC because of the exact same situation where I kind of started in the middle of things, but it's handled in such a way that you can both continue on forward with the new stuff that they're releasing, and you can actually go back and read some of the old stuff. Like I have your Comic DC account on my iPad, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to read Absolute Power 1 through 3 too, so that I get the full context. But even though I've started in the middle of it, and there's obviously some spoilers that are involved in that, it's really not the end of the world because it's just done really well. So I thought that that's your little bit of Star Trek for the week until we do our next one. But that's it was really reminiscent of that for me, and I think that they did that really well.
And I think it's awesome that it's especially for I think most of the comic audience that exists right now as a consumer is already kind of grown up with it, or just met a superhero in some medium and wanted to join on, right? Mm-hmm. I like the fact that you're not the biggest DC guy, right? Mm-hmm. You didn't grow up like I grew up
comic
watching,
at all,
or comic,
even Marvel comics,
And I grew up watching DC, so that was like Justice League Unlimited. I grew up watching that, so that was a big boost as a kid. And then I was able to go right on into the comics, and I had like no problem whatsoever at all. But it's also good that there's a point that people can jump onto and be like, oh, there's things that already exist.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Like I can go back and see.
I can go back.
There's a backlog for me to like get hooked on until I have to wait for the new stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, let's dig into the main topic of this video, which is the All In issue. And we're going to start with the first story in there.
It took us long enough to get here. I think with editing, about 15 minutes.
Yeah. So the main story is Alpha, which is written by Joshua Williamson and Scott Snyder with art by Daniel Semper. So we're going to pick up with a little summary here. So 52 days after the end of Absolute Power, our heroes have formed a Justice League that's even bigger and, some could say, better than it has ever been. Mm-hmm. And we
certainly more powerful.
Yes, certainly way more powerful. There's way more powerful members. There's
just
not just
more
7
members.
people. Yeah, there's more members in general, right? And we follow Superman as he gives out the new Justice League membership cards, which I thought was very cool. How they showed how it was made in the first couple pages, and how it was a collaboration between all the different types of characters. You know what I mean? I thought that was really cool. And so we see him give these cards out to various characters, but most notably we see him give it out to Booster Gold, right after Booster Gold saves some kids from a burning building. And then from that we cut and we kind of go see the first meeting of this Justice League Unlimited. But this meeting is rather rudely interrupted by Darkseid, who, by the way, he's just bonded with the Specter, the most powerful being, I think, in the entirety of the DC universe, bonded with the most powerful villain in the DC universe. And the Justice League have to fight him, and they're losing. And so Superman has to be powered up by the magical characters. Raven, Zatanna, Dr. Fate, Deadman. Deadman. I just said it like it was a name. Deadman. And so they power him up. So he has these magic powers which give him the ability to take on Darkseid head to head. And he fights Darkseid for a little bit, and then he casts a spell on him with this magic power, saying these words to free him, right? And so when he says this, Darkseid is separated from the Specter, but another thing happens where Darkseid disappears and leaves a hole in space and time, which is interesting. We'll come back to that when we talk about the second story in this series, right? Mm-hmm. And so the Justice League have to debate. This is obviously the first mission that this new Unlimited team is going to have to go on. And Booster Gold volunteers to go through this portal. But he gets stuck on the other side. And he sees something that we'll get into again when we talk about the second part of this. He sees something, right? But some time dilation happens back in the main universe, and the Justice League has forgotten that they've sent him over, right? So that's where we end.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
How does that happen? I didn't
So
pick up on that.
if you notice, there's a section of panels of what Booster Gold is seeing and how he's in the other universe. Right next to that is the Justice League. There's a regular panel of them, there's an iffy panel of them, and then there's a redone panel from one of the previous pages.
1 second, give me this comic book. I have to do some fact checking here. I think he might be lying to me.
I'm not lying to you.
Let's see. Okay. So they're fighting. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention is in the first panel that shows him, I'm thinking, hold on, is that Thanos? He looks a lot like Thanos. Obviously, I was like, no, that's not Thanos. This is DC, not Marvel. Yeah. But I thought that was kind of funny that they're very similar looking characters.
They are.
So, okay, they're figuring out what to do. He goes down into the thing. Oh, the zip thing.
And then if you go back, you see that this panel happened over here.
How are you supposed to pick up on that?
Yeah, I read it. I read it through 3 times before I picked up on that.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So I'm not very familiar with comics, so I can't pick up on things very easily. I only actually read it the one time, and then I quickly looked over it when I was writing my summary of it. But no, I didn't.
It's just there's some things in there that you have to pick up a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So for a reader like me, are they just expecting you to be able to pick up on that? Because I then read through the entire next bit and I just didn't notice that at all. Like that. Yeah. Oh, why isn't anybody doing anything about it?
I believe if you go into, I think there's a couple issues that are already out right now that have addressed like what's happened in this event.
That just aren't part of this.
That aren't a part of this collection, right? So in those they address the fact that there has been that, right? But but if you're a keen-eyed viewer, you would have known that from that issue.
I guess I'm not a keen-eyed viewer.
It's all right. I'm a big I was talking about Dan Moore's art in the last issue because there's such detail in the background and there's because I'm the kind of guy that will go panel by panel and just look at everything and be like, oh, this looks familiar. Oh, this is that panel from a few pages ago, right? That's the kind of guy I am. But yeah,
interesting. Okay.
I thought the art in this issue was, I think, very iconic. Daniel Sampere is a very, it reminds me of kind of the marketing art that would be on, the Justice League cookies you'd get, I guess. You know what I mean? Or the box art that you see on those little, choose your own adventure novels, right? That you could get from the library and they'd be like, choose your own adventure. Library. Of course you didn't.
I did a couple of times. I read a Star Wars book at the library once, and it was good. It was a Boba Fett thing. I read the entire thing in one trip.
That's pretty cool.
But that's basically the only memory I have from the library.
All right, well, I think it looks kind of like art that you would put on marketing things. So it's very well done, it's very detailed, and pretty iconic. I think I like Dan Moore's art from the last issue better, but I do think it's good art still. It's still good art, right? I would like to note Booster Gold. I love his appearance and Mr. Terrific and the magic users and putting Superman front and center and Batman and Wonder Woman, but also doing some of the lesser characters right and putting them there too. And I think that the Superman perspective in this story enhances the next story that we're gonna go into, right? Yeah. What are your thoughts on this first part, this first story?
I think the last time I was in a library was 2012.
Oh, Lord.
By the way, it is 2025. All you people
ago.
In the future, in 2460, watching this,
yeah,
it's 2025.
When they've blown up and have millions of followers.
In 440 years? I don't think we're going to be around that long, Judah.
I don't know.
Gosh. Okay, I need to go to the library. I just buy books from Barnes & Noble. Does Barnes & Noble count?
Yeah, it's a library? No, it's a bookstore.
Yeah, okay. Well, clearly I have a skill issue here.
Back on the train tracks.
Yeah, the point of what we're here for is I liked it. Any questions? No, but specifically, I really liked following Booster Gold.
Yeah.
I don't know... Again, for the billionth time, I don't know DC very well. So, I don't know the history of Booster Gold or anything like that. I guess, I don't know if it was in this or the next part, so, beware, I guess. But knowing that he comes from the future and he's coming from or to the past is kind of like the only thing I know about him just from reading this thing. Certainly though, like right when I was just first introduced when Superman's giving him this card in person, like nothing. I didn't know anything about. I know Judah talks about him sometimes. He probably talked about him in some of these podcast episodes, and I've just totally forgotten about them. But totally unfamiliar with it. But I was able to kind of pick up on some things, obviously. That, like, he's doing this for himself, for power, for glory, to look good, right? He's got his little robot thing that's saying, should I upload that to all your socials? And he's like, this time around, he's actually like, actually, no. So I was like, okay, so he's trying to reform, right? He used to be this way, and now he's trying to reform. He's probably not going to be perfectly like that. I guess we'll see as we go on. But he's at least for the moment trying, and that kind of leads into him volunteering and saying, I'll do it, especially because of the revelation. So now I do remember now that it is in this alpha issue that I'm told that he's from the future, because the only people who can go to this place that Omega is or whatever is the people that have tachyons.
Yes.
And so he's from the future, he's got tachyons, he volunteers to go, right? Kind of a redemptive story going on there.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see where that leads, but I'm at least interested to know.
Yeah.
So it kind of hooked me in that regard.
I'm glad you like Booster Gold, because there's two characters in DC that I think you're like, and the much nicer one is saying that you're like Booster Gold. Do you want to know what the other one is? Because you know who the other one is.
What? Hold on. The nicer one?
Yeah, the nicer one is saying...
The nicer one is the jerk?
No.
We all know what Judah thinks about me
I
now.
could also say that you're like Guy Gardner, but...
Actually, I prefer that. Mostly because I know Guy Gardner now, but also because I love the idea of just, like, being a douche. Like, I know, you shouldn't want to, but this is fake. This is a comic universe. It doesn't matter. So that's actually interesting.
Yeah, well, he's a good character to play around with, especially for writers. But
you think that I'm a douchebag too. So you think that I'm in it all for my glory and that I'm a douchebag.
Well, I think.
Well, the answer to that is yes. Subscribe, please. I need to be famous and powerful, because clearly, that's what I'm like.
That's why.
Because Judah says that I'm like that. So
that's why this will be clipped and put on YouTube Shorts.
Yeah,
or Instagram
this will be
Reels.
one of the shorts. Yes, I am awesome. By the way, did you know that? I am one of the best people ever. Obviously, you should all just love and adore me. Thank you for subscribing, because I'm assuming you have.
If you haven't subscribed yet, scroll down a little bit, hit that subscribe button. If this is clipped and on Instagram, hit the like button, hit the follow
and
button.
go to the bio so that you can follow us on YouTube as well.
Follow us where we are. All right. That was a nice little plug for ourselves.
That was a great way to plug it. That was not planned, by the way. That just worked out perfectly. See, we're so good at this.
We are. And
we're so good at this.
We're getting better, and this is better production. So we're going to... If that's all your thoughts on the alpha side,
is this better production?
I think so, personally, but that's my thought.
So you're gonna get into the Omega
side. So this is the second story is written primarily by Scott Snyder with help from Joshua Williamson in the writing department, and the art is done by Wes Craig, who brings a very unique and almost kind of John Romita Jr. Frank Miller style, but I kind of like his style in this story specifically more than those other artists. I know that they're big and famous and whatever, but his art in this is really good. So we're going to get into the summary, right? So we pick up with Darkseid, right before he's coming after the Justice League and why he's coming after the Justice League. Mm-hmm. So Darkseid has made himself a miracle machine. Yeah. And he's standing over it and he's pondering things, and the miracle machine is powered by the blood of whoever creates it, right? So he has to sacrifice his arm, but turns out that wasn't enough. So conveniently, his son, Calabac, who has brought him, by the way, the greatest army of parademons the universe has ever seen, which has Daxamites and Thanagarians and a few, stray Kryptonians and like big, powerful alien species of the DC universe turned into parademons, right? He kind of, makes mockery of his son. His son reminds him that he is in fact his blood. And so, what do you know? You turn the page and Darkseid has his hand through his son's chest, lifts him up over his head, and he murders his son and sacrifices him into the miracle machine.
Because they have the same blood.
So
it works.
And, yeah. And so he's searching for the Specter. You're not told this yet in the issue, but you will find out. He's searching for the Specter. And so he goes to hell, and demons are like, why would you be searching for him here? He's not here. So he searches heaven, he searches hell, which I love. So this is deep cut reference just for me, but he talks to Zariel, who was at one point on the Justice League. So you have heaven and hell, but unlike Catholics believe, the third place you go is not purgatory, but the dark side of the moon, where lo and behold, Darkseid, spelled Darkseid, not dark side as in dark side of the force or something, right? Or dark side of the moon, right?
Side.
Yeah, Side, right? So Darkseid goes to the dark side of the moon, which is funny, where he finds Eclipso. And famously, Darkseid and Eclipso are two of the most powerful villains in DC, and they play chess with each other. And so Eclipso's just sitting there, waiting for him to play chess, finds out Darkseid's not in the mood for games, and the two get into a pretty epic battle, which ends with Darkseid booming-tubing him right into the middle of the sun, which was pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie. That was an epic moment right there. And so Darkseid, he searches for the Specter, and he finds chained up in the basement of the dark side of the moon, which the dark side of the moon obviously has a basement, as one would figure. So Darkseid finds Jim Corrigan, the host of the Specter, and he uses his wish from the Miracle Machine to have the Specter bond with him.
Why is Jim Gaffigan in this?
So Jim Corrigan is a human who has been alive since the mid-1900s, right? He fought in World War II. That's where he was bonded with the Spectre, originally part of the Justice Society.
Dude, do you know how many people are currently still alive from the mid-1900s?
Not a lot, but he also has...
a good amount.
He has the Spectre, which is the canonically the angel of death, if you're going to go biblical references, bonded to him. So that's why he's alive, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Okay.
Of course, because if the angel of death were to bond with me, I would assume that would make me live. Naturally. Naturally, that's what I would assume. Of course. Who wouldn't assume that? Actually, honestly.
So, Darkseid bonds with the Spectre, right? And then he finds the Justice League, who have some kind of thing that has attracted him, that he has felt deep within him. And they've been hiding something from him, which has been hidden to most of the audience. It was referenced in an event called Death Metal way back in the day, right? Something called the Elseworld, right?
Oh.
And so it's been hidden from him, and he's sick of failing his schemes, and he's tired of just being a destroyer, and he's
sick of being such a loser,
and
who loses.
Yeah, and Spectre is kind of mocking him and telling him that he's a one-note tool of a villain, and that he's going to get defeated, and he's kind of wishing he was somewhere else, right? And he was kind of wishing that he's free. So we get to the thing that Superman says, the spell, right? Where he says, free him.
So, important note is that all of this is happening in the past compared to the end of the previous
Yes.
story.
So these are kind of happening simultaneously, the stories.
So when you first open this Omega part up, it says 52 days ago. And then, of course, at the start of the Alpha part, it says 52 days later, referring to 52 days after they beat Waller, right?
Yes.
So 52 days after is when this the Omega or the Alpha starts, but then back 52 days ago is where this starts, and now we are back to where we have left off with roughly where we have left off
with the Alpha issue. Or they're parts like
so they kind of run like timeline wise in parallel.
Yeah. So that's a good way of putting it, right? So Darkseid's sick of these feelings, and the spell is free Darkseid, right? And so Darkseid is free, and he's freed, and he's into the Elseworld, right? And he's into a position of power and control and creation, even in this Elseworld, which we see some of what he's shaping, right? We see this world's version of Batman, we see this world's version of Wonder Woman, we see this world's version of Superman, and they're darker, they're twisted in some ways. It's not that the characters themselves are twisted, it's that the environment around them is twisted, which I thought was a really interesting way of doing it, because many times when we get alternate versions of characters, it's just the character that's twisted, not the world. And this time it's the flip of that. It's like, This is the same character, they have the same heart, but here's the environment that they were in, and it's a lot different.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting and cool. Then we see Booster Gold pop into this Elseworld, or absolute universe, some could say, right? He pops right in there.
Is that a hint?
Yeah, that's a hint. And lo and behold...
Is that a hint for me?
Is it a hint for you? Yes. So the Elseworld is now the absolute universe, right? If that makes
so like
sense.
the absolute Superman, the absolute
Batman, the absolute Wonder Woman. Yes.
are it set in this?
They're set in the world that
Becomes this.
that becomes this. Yes, because those are set.
You can tell I'm so out of the loop on all of this.
So those are set in the past of this world. Booster Gold's there in the present of this world, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, so Booster Gold pops over and he sees what has been dubbed the Omega Legion or Darkseid's Legion, but it's basically the Legion of superheroes in this universe, right? And it was a really cool image. It was drawn. That one was drawn by it's two-page spread drawn by Dan Mora, really detailed, looks super cool. And Darkseid just says My Legion. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. So I wanted to mention that like the art, rougher tone compared to Alpha, which I liked, especially coming from Darkseid's perspective. The art, not just the writing, but the art reflected that, right? And dude, when he kills Calabac, that was it's an absolute page turner for a good pun there, right? And I love the dynamic perspective shift between these two issues where you get Superman and Booster Gold and it's kind of like upbeat and heroic and the art reflects that and the writing reflects that, you know, and then you get this kind of like darker, more twisted version. It's a different story where they parts overlap, right? But from Darkseid's perspective, and I just love the storytelling there and the contrast between these two parts, and it struck me, you know.
Yeah,
I thought it was very good. Where are you sitting with this Omega issue? Like, what are your thoughts?
Well, it was really good. The only thing that I kind of have against it really is that it's not my type of story. Like the darker, grittier stuff, it's not really my thing. I like the happy fun times stuff. Obviously, Star Trek over here, but just from a pure artistry standpoint, like it's good art. From like a storytelling standpoint, like this, it's well written. Like there's nothing against the writing or anything like that I have. It's just like not really my thing. The upside is that because I'm not too familiar with things DC, I've not been like inundated already with a bunch of DC things that have all these different kind of styles. Is that this is kind of the first time I'm seeing it in this medium and in this kind of universe of DC.
Yeah.
So even though generally speaking that's not something that I'm too interested in this particular instance, because it's also new, I actually still found myself enjoying it a lot.
Yeah.
But overall, it's really good. I like nothing I can say bad about it, but not usually my kind of
Cup
thing.
of tea. Yeah.
So like I'm not like gonna be super fanboying about it like you are.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, I think that I love the thing as Darkseid being like, I want to create. All I've done, like I'm clearly one note, right? You know, I am. He came out before Thanos, but they made him like Thanos after Thanos was Thanos. If that makes sense, right?
Sure.
So he was created before, but he became like Thanos, but it become DC's version of that.
Sure.
So, and Thanos, let's be honest, is trying to eliminate half the universe all the time. So it's kind of a one-note villain thing, right? If you're trying to eliminate the universe, that's your end goal. And I love the fact that he's conflicted, like, oh, I'm just generic, and
and that's a part of it.
Change it, and I thought it was so cool.
That's one part that I did actually fully enjoy is the explanation that Darkseid is like an elemental force, actually.
Yeah.
So that exists, like when the universe was created, right, there was Darkseid, just like with all the other elemental forces. They were there, so was Darkseid. As multiverses kind of sprung off, like different worlds and different storylines and things sprung off, he was kind of like slowly got weaker and weaker and weaker because parts of himself continued with those
because he's a
parallel
force of
universes
nature and not just a singular person.
So when he's just 100, when it's all just one universe and he is in that universe, like he's at his highest power. But when he is scattered across the multiverse, right, it's kind of split up that way. But he's only conscious of like this him right here, and so he can't fully like wield his powers. And it's not like he's got doppelgangers either, because he doesn't. It specifically says that. It's just that the power, the elemental force that fuels him, is spread out, so he only is tapping into the one universe's amount of it. And then when all of the universes are combined, is what happened, right? All the universes are combined.
So you're thinking of Crisis on Infinite Earths. That happened a long time ago. What happened for him to get his consciousness like all of him being in one place, right? Is the access to the multiverse, a part of absolute
That's
power,
what it was.
was
The
cut,
access to
all
the
cut
multiverse.
off, right? The multiverse exists, but it's cut off. It's not destroyed, but it's cut off, and he is singularly in this universe, which means that the other multiverses are kind of gonna maybe fall apart because they're missing a force of nature.
Yeah, exactly. And so that then goes into the Darkseid of this universe creates his own universe, and 100% of that force of nature is now actually in this universe, so
which is shaping the world.
So this is a much darker and grittier universe that he's created over here. But I'm noticing that means that he's not in the timeline that we were just following, the universe.
Yes.
So, and apparently they don't even remember any of it. So things are gonna get out of control, I would assume, pretty soon.
Well, they remember that Darkseid showed up, right? You gotta go.
They don't remember about the booster gold
being sent over.
Yeah. So yeah. They'll probably then be able to figure out what's going on, and maybe even why as the Darkseid, but not necessarily that they've already sent somebody in to do something about that.
All right, so I'm gonna leave you with the final question, and we'll close up finally. And this will probably be edited down a good bit because there's some chunks.
Right now it's at 50 minutes. Some of it needs to be edited because we can't talk like so bad. It's so bad.
It's really awful. But okay, so parting question, right? So it seems like you enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Going from this, looking forward to what we're gonna be talking about. Specifically, next time we do this, we're gonna be talking about the 3 mainline books: Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
DC side of this, because the very next one of the DC is Star Trek is gonna be Star Trek.
So, the next time we do a DC side, we're gonna be talking about the mainline. We're after this issue. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and the Justice League book all pick up after this, right?
I'm very interested to continue.
Yeah. So what are you specifically interested in? What has piqued you?
Well, I definitely want to see how is this resolved? What's going on with Booster Gold? Things like that. Other than that, I guess nothing in particular. I would say really, I want to get into them all, and I want to see kind of where's the universe going, because this is a fairly freshly rebooted universe. Certainly, the power dynamic of the universe is, as of just now, of us reading it, is vastly different. Yeah. So it's kind of, even in that regard, a fresh start. So I just want to follow along from there and kind of immerse myself in it.
Valid.
So, yeah. But next time, as I have alluded to a couple of times, we are going to be getting into Star Trek.
Yeah, Kirk will be in the driver's seat, and I'll be the one that's...
Yeah. I'll be the one giving the background, and he'll be the one saying, wait, how does that work? 16
excuse
times.
Me, what is that?
Yeah, but that'll be a fun one. I just got Judah to watch Strange New Worlds Season 1, Episode 1. By then, we will probably watch Episodes 2 and even maybe 3.
We'll see.
Don't have too much time, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
So we'll have a little bit there, and obviously I know a lot more about the wider universe, so I can fill in some of the gaps. It does kind of start sort of in the middle of things, kind of like how we did just now. So it'll be a similar experience for him as it is for me reading all of these things.
Yeah.
So, he'll get a taste of his own medicine.
I'm glad you enjoyed this. If you guys wanted to read along with us, what we got was the All In Saga collection. That's what we're reading from right now. And I'll keep y'all, if you're interested and want to read along with this, you can go to your comic shop and definitely get this. You can go online. You can purchase just the All In issue if you want. You can, there's so many ways you can get a hold of this and read this.
And what we have gone over today is only actually about half of the thing. Yeah. Of the collection, so there's a couple more stories at the end too that you can get
go
into.
Off into the other titles,
and that
which
we
we're
will
going to
get
talk
into.
about fully. Yeah.
So
this is super cool.
You can follow along with that.
Yeah, this is DC All In Saga. This is our beginning of covering DC currently. Probably we're going to cover some stuff from the past.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys comment, like I asked Kirk.
Yeah.
What stuck out to you if you read this? What stuck out to you from listening? Right.
We want to hear your thoughts. We want some engagement on this video.
Yeah. So if you have any character that you thought sounded interesting, or you want to hear about what happened to them before this or after this, leave a comment down below with that, right?
Yeah. And he will be able to answer all of your questions. And if you also want to follow along with the Star Trek stuff that we're doing, then it's all going to be right there on Paramount, so you can get Paramount to follow along too.
With that said, again, we're going to do this at the end of these. God bless. And good morning, good evening, good night, whenever you're listening to this. Podcast out.
See ya.